From the News Channel 5 Network, this is OpenLine.
Hello everyone, welcome to OpenLine. I am Ben Hall, and tonight we want to hear from you. Perhaps you are caring for an aging mother or father or brother or sister, and you're wondering about the future. Perhaps you're scared about the future. There are some things you can control. There's certainly things you cannot control. But I always enjoy talking with elder law attorney Tim Takis, who can help walk us through some of the things we can control.
Right.
Tim, thank you for being here.
Great. Glad to be back.
So this is a big part of what you do.
Yes.
These are people that are caring for someone. It's not easy. There are these ups and downs, and they just wonder, what should I do?
What should I do? Right. And we have, like, for instance, we were talking just, about today. We have it's regularly we have clients or we have family members that are coming in, and it's always, we have to always remember is that this is like their first time doing this. I mean, we've been doing this for 20 plus years in my office, with my staff and my team, but everybody comes in and they have their own story, and their story generally is that, well, my mom and dad are maybe not doing well, like the story that we got today. The daughter comes in and says, mom and dad are living out of state, and we're thinking about, coming back up here. Kind of like one of those, probably they started out in Ohio or Michigan and they went down to Florida, and now they would go back to, like, they don't want to go back all the way, so they wind up where the daughter is. So the daughter comes in and she's got 100 questions about, well, how do I take care of my mom and dad? When they sell their house, what should we do with the money? Where are mom and dad going to live? Should we take care of them in our house, or should they move into another house and we should hire caregivers? Should they give money away? Should they not give money away? We've heard about the 5-year look-back period. What should the estate planning be? All those sorts of things.
All those things.
All of those things.
How are you going to pay for a nursing home?
Right.
How are you going to pay for assisted living? These things are incredibly expensive.
That's right. So we talked before about, okay, nursing home generally $7,000–8,000 a month. It's approaching $100,000 a year in some places. There are some nursing homes that, one of the things that we tell people is that, well, I can't afford that, so, is the Medicaid program going to pay, or is the Medicare program going to pay? Well, Medicare does not pay for that. Medicare is health insurance. Medicaid pays for long-term care, which is, Medicare does not say, they don't classify that as health care. They classify that as custodial care. People that, if you need assistance with activities of daily living, bathing, dressing, all that other stuff, that's what Medicaid pays for. So the people go into a nursing home and they expect, well, Medicaid's going to pay. They have to make sure that the nursing home accepts Medicaid. We've had that case recently where, the husband comes in and says, my wife's in a nursing home, and come to find out is that she is in a nursing home that does not accept Medicaid. So part of our endeavor now is trying to get her out of that nursing home into another nursing home that accepts Medicaid.
And what's one of the big, I guess, mistakes or problems or misconceptions even? What are some of the big mistakes, I guess, people make when they are caring for a loved one with all the best of intentions? Maybe they're just so overwhelmed they don't have time to think about this or that. What are some of the big mistakes?
Well, I think probably the biggest mistake is not thinking or planning ahead. Is that maybe people are so focused on being caregivers and making sure that their loved one gets the care that they need, they don't necessarily think about, one is that, can they continue to do this? What happens if something happens to me as the child or other family member? And every once in a while when we have those conversations with our families, they'll go, well, I've thought about that, but I've just decided that I can't get sick. It's like, well, that's really not a plan. I mean, it's
not a plan. No.
They know that's not a plan, but it's like, what other option do they have? And because they really don't know what their options are. Also thinking that being a caregiver is hard work. It's a job. And making sure that the caregiver is taken care of, making sure that there is a plan in place so that the caregiver gets more help, making sure that that if mom and dad have money, or the person who is being cared for has money, part of the use of that money is to have caregivers.
It means you can take a salary.
Exactly. You can take a salary. You know, maybe you need, maybe your loved one needs what we call respite for the caregiver. So if the caregiver needs a break for maybe a weekend or a week, you know, then somebody either comes in and, you know, and takes care of mom or dad, or maybe mom or dad or both go to an assisted living for a few days. You know, most assisted livings in this area have a respite program, you know, where, you know, their loved one, you know, your loved one can go there for a couple of days, you know, and then come back home. You know, all of those sorts of things that people, you know, just basically, I won't call it a failure to plan, but a lot of times it's really not so much, yeah, I know I need to plan, but I don't even know how to get started.
And then the other thing is we kind of set the table, and people call in with your stories, certainly. People are worried when they start talking about paying for this for mom and dad. They're worried about
where's the money going to come from?
Where's it going to come from? And can they take my house?
They get all that.
Those kinds of things, right?
Right, and you know, and not really knowing enough about how like say the Veterans Affairs programs work for paying for care. Certainly about how the TennCare Medicaid programs work, because as you said, is people think, you know, that the nursing home or the government takes your house, you know, and that does not happen. Now there are things, you know, we do know that if people are in the nursing home and the Medicaid program is paying, the state has a right to recoup what it pays out for the nursing home residents' care. But that doesn't apply to spouses. You know, there are protections for spouses, and I know you've heard me say this before many times, is that, you know, my special concern is for all of the spouses out there that feel that, well, I can't let my husband go to the nursing home because they're just going to take our house.
Right.
You know, and the end result is that the spouse caregiver, you know, her health declines, you know, because she is so desperately afraid that, well, my husband goes to the nursing home, they're going to take our house. You know, and that is not the case. You know, and you've also heard me say from time to time is I sometimes fault our state for doing less than what they could, you know, to minimize or alleviate that misapprehension about the program.
Because it comes up all the time.
All the time.
And I'm sure you hear it.
I hear it all the time. You hear it here. We hear it. You know, usually, almost every time we come on, you know, OpenLine, we get that question. You know, about, well, the government's going to take the house in the end. Well, they says no, not if we plan for this.
And the other,
you know, and it's not that difficult.
The other thing people always question you about is giving money to your kids.
Should I do that? Yeah.
I always love when you talk about that. But yeah, giving money to your kids, you think is a terrible idea.
Right.
At least, I guess, giving all of it.
Right.
So people start gifting some.
Yeah.
Maybe that's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But and I always say is there's a lot of reasons to give, and I often think about, you know, what you try to do if you can is you gift out of love and not fear.
Which is very good. That makes sense.
You know, it's like I want to give money or my property away for my children because I want them to have it, because I know that, you know, it's good for them, it's good for me, it's good for my soul. You know, I'm not doing it, I don't want to do it because, you know, my creditors are going to get it, or the nursing home's going to get it, you know, or I hear all of the stuff that, you know, that's going to happen if I don't do this. Now, needless to say, there are, you know, that does come up. But you've also heard me say is that, you know, those funds are there and they're available to use, and you earn them to make sure that you're taken care of, that your spouse is taken care of, maybe your children, but often is that that's worth a conversation with your children too.
Right.
You know, and what we're finding more and more is that it's people our age, meaning us who are 50s and early 60s, who are walking into my office, you know, who are for their 75 or 85-year-old parents, and they're going, I don't want the money.
Right.
Yeah, if it's there, I'll take it. But my focus, I'm concerned, is I want my parents taken care of. You know, and I think there's an element of selfishness in that, because I think well, if my mom takes care of herself and uses her money to take care of herself, it means I don't have to.
Right. Right.
I would rather her use her money to take care of herself, you know, than than me having to spend 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 hours a week or more. In fact, as often happens, my wife she's here in the studio.
Right.
And she was telling me she heard something on, I think it was on NPR today, about family caregiving, which is, this is Family Caregivers Month in Tennessee, by Governor Haslam. And the studies show that people in their 40s, between their late 40s, early 50s, are the ones that stop out of the workforce, and take care of their parents.
Really? Mm-hmm. So that age, okay.
That age, that's their prime work earning years.
Right.
Most of them they're doing it they think, well, it's just for another year or two. The average is 4 years. A significant percentage of them never go back into the workforce.
I bet.
And when they go out of the workforce and then don't go back in, they lose Social Security quarters. They wind up retiring maybe at 62 with a minimal amount of Social Security, if they even are able to qualify at all. So there are significant consequences, to these family members that go out of the workforce.
All right, we're going to take a break, and then we want to hear from you. So we've kind of set the table. Are you caring for someone? Do you have questions along these lines? What might they be? How can you better prepare for the future, helping a loved one? Or maybe you have questions about your own situation. Give us a call, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Take a break. We'll be back right after this.